All right, let's start off this morning with a good prayer. I don't know about the weather where everybody's at, but we're supposed to have storms today. Could bring some tornadoes, so we're gonna just say some prayers that the wind just blows quietly through here and does what it needs to do without causing any damage. So we go, Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day and the ones that are attending the Zoom this morning. Touch each and every one of our hearts. Fill us up with love, unconditional love, and remove all judgment and help us to feel the connection that we are connected to all things. We ask that any storms that are going through other people's lives at this time, that the elements of these storms work with the people and not against them, and to run smoothly through their life as the changes come in all directions, as we all are aware of, and that change is always good. We love you and we give you great gratitude for our breath every day that we have to live this beautiful life that we are experiencing and creating. I hope.
Okay, song.
Yeah.
Some say love, it is a river. And that it drowns the tender reed. And some say love, it's like a razor. And that it leaves your soul to bleed. Some say love, it is a hunger, an endless aching need. I say love, it is a flower, and its only seed. It's the heart afraid of breaking that never learns to dance. It's the dream afraid of waking that never takes the chance. It's the one who won't be taken, who cannot seem to give, and the soul afraid of dying that one's love in the spring becomes the
Beautiful, your show.
All right, so, I think Rodney was getting a little nervous last night because he had not received my song yet that we were gonna do. And it was because Creator just was not giving me a song, and I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited. So, he got the song real late last night, let's just say. So our topic today is about being loved and being the rose, okay? Because we are seeding, our thoughts are the seeds that create our lives and what we experience in our lives. And we all know, each one of us, we go through some trying times sometimes, like just like you were saying earlier that you had a rough time last week, and if it hadn't been for Susan, you might have not have made it through. Well, you know, Creator has a way of putting the right people in place, you know, for when you need somebody to talk to, or you need that connection so that you can get through those rough times. Because sometimes if you look at yourself as the rose, you might be just growing and popping out of the dirt when you're going through all that suffering that you're going through, and you're trying to move the dirt out so your rose can come up and bloom. And sometimes it takes other people helping you move that dirt away from what is preventing you from growing, or just helping you hold on and giving you a hand to help you pull yourself up, you know, into the light where you can shine better. So it's really neat how we are all connected together, and if we can really start seeing that connection, you're going to see a big difference in the way you respond to things. And actually, it's going to create you a better communication on how to communicate with people too, because a lot of us have these problems where when we really need to talk to somebody, we will get into a mindset, well, I don't want to call and bother them with my things, what is happening with me. I don't, but see, Creator's trying to get us to understand communication is the key of connecting to everybody. And not only when you call, you know, to talk to somebody like that, you might be thinking you're the one that needs help, but you might be helping the other person realize, because they haven't said anything about what they're going through, and they're listening to your problems. It might be helping them get out of their own, you know, their own head for a while to pull themselves up out of the darkness too. So it works both ways, and you really don't know until after it happens. And then the other person will go, you know, I was feeling like that yesterday. And then you'll be able to see the connection, how come Creator connected y'all like that. So it's really interesting to see how the energy works to put people together. And it's like I've said in many other classes that we've had, the more you become aware of your energy, and like-minded energy attracts like-minded energy. So you don't want to fall into the pattern where you're always talking about negative stuff either, because you'll just be creating negative stuff. So always remember, when you get up in the morning time, it's a new day. Okay, it's a new day. So don't bring yesterday into your new day because it will trip you up. So there was an old saying, and I'm sure each and every one of y'all has been told this saying, never go to bed angry. You know, if you're angry, address that before you go to bed. Well, that's part of the reason why that saying came up is because you're in a new day. So don't go to bed angry. Because guess what? If you go to bed angry, you're going to get up angry and you're going to bring what made you angry into a new day because you didn't let it go. And that's the main topic that we're going to talk about today is letting go of stuff that's really doesn't matter. Okay. But in our minds, while it's happening to us, we really think it matters. Now, as y'all can see, Elizabeth isn't on today. Elizabeth needs our prayers because she's not feeling real good. She's having some lung issues right now. And I'm hoping she'll come pop in, but she has not been feeling good for a couple of days. So please keep her in your prayers. But I was talking with her, and one of the things that I think would be good to share with y'all is have you ever noticed that when you're in your trying times and you just feel really beat up from your thoughts and everything, and you just feel like Creator is not listening to you, and he waits until the very last minute. And then at the very last minute, things change, but you've went through a lot of suffering and it could have been a week, it could have been a month that you went through the suffering and you just never saw Creator in none of it. Well, I was talking to Elizabeth about that, and my take on that is Creator always shows up at the very last minute. Because until you release the control that you have in your thought process, he can't come in. So I would like you to really think about what part of it are you controlling? Because when you finally have had enough of the suffering and beating yourself up, you finally say, I'm done. I'm not going to think about this anymore. I'm through. And guess what happens? Creator shows up and things start changing. So this goes back to what I was saying, that, make it a new day every day. Do not bring yesterday's stuff into your new day. Let Creator bring what is supposed to come into your day. Even when you wake up in the morning, if you feel bad, now I've said this many times, whatever you feel and however you put it out, that's what you're going to get back. So if you get up feeling bad, try to address that immediately and do something that will change that attitude that you have so that you feel better, even if you're not feeling good. It's a very hard lesson for me because last year, and I think I shared this in one of the other classes, it became a pattern with me because I didn't want to address the things that were going on with me and my youngest daughter, that I realized that when I didn't want to go help her because she needed so much help, I would end up calling her and telling her I didn't feel good and that I was going to lay in the bed. So all last year, I laid in the bed most of the year. The whole year went past with me saying I didn't feel good. and it was an escape so that I did not have to address within myself, not my daughter, but within myself, the emotions that I was dealing with at that time. because I didn't want to release the control of it. I still wanted to have the control, but the minute I released that control and said, I'm not gonna worry about this anymore, and I'm gonna get up every day and I'm gonna feel great. Guess what happened? I started feeling good every morning, and I started getting up, and things started changing around. So it's really funny how all that works, and I know each and every single one of us have experienced that. Uh, right now, a lot of people are worried about their finances, and that is something really to worry about, because the prices of everything's going up, and that's scary. It creates fear in you. But just know that Creator is not going to let you fall down to the point where you're homeless. That's a choice that you make. Okay. Homelessness is a choice. Now, there is natural things that can happen, like your house burned down and stuff like that, that you have no control over. Okay, that can make you homeless. But you're not going to stay homeless if you stay in the right attitude. Okay, and that's the main thing, is learning how to stay in the right attitude, in the positive thought process. Because if you stay in the negative thought process, all you're going to get is the negative results of it. And one of the biggest things I think Creator is trying to teach us is to really release the control, and to walk through life in a manner that gives Him the control. Ask Him to place what He wants you to see in your day. Don't create it because you decide to bring in yesterday's drama so you have something to feed off of. Your bad wolf wants to eat and is hungry, so we're going to talk about the fight we had yesterday, or we're going to talk about the person we saw in some type of judgment that was doing something that we didn't think they should have been doing, just so that wolf could feed. You can feed your bad wolf with good energy. And your bad wolf, okay, until it learns it can eat off of that energy, is going to fight with you. But eventually that wolf's going to come into balance with you, and it's going to become your warrior self. And that's how you're going to get to your authentic self, because guess what? It's okay to get mad. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to be all those things, but it's not okay to stay in it. That's the difference. Release the control. And know that these things are going to happen, because energy moves. Energy is not stagnant. We are the ones that create stagnation. Okay, the energy doesn't, because energy always moves and energy always changes. And once you realize that, you can change a lot of things in your pathway, because you'll start realizing that you're the one that's creating it and putting it in your pathway for you to experience. Now, I've done this many times, and I want y'all to try this. I have no idea where I got this information at, but in our life, we're like in a play, okay? And you can either be the actor, or you can sit outside in the chairs and watch the movie going on, And so all these people that you see, like in the grocery stores and driving down the road, those are what people, whoever shared this with me, it radiated with me, so I'm gonna share it with y'all, see what y'all think. Um, I was told those are what you call fill-ins. Because if you're making a movie and stuff, you have to fill in some spaces, so that everything doesn't look blank. So if you get in your day and your day is full of all these people and stuff, but you're not talking to them or nothing, they're just, let's just say you're driving down the road. And I've used this as an example quite a lot with people that ride with me, and they're kind of amazed. So I want y'all to try to, you're riding down the road, bumper to bumper traffic, right? And you can feel the energy of other people because they're frustrated because there's so much bumper to bumper traffic. Well, all you have to do is ask Creator not to give you any fill-ins. Tell them you want the space open. Don't put the fill-ins there. And what will happen, which has happened many, many times to me with people that I've shared this with, we'll be riding down the road and there'll be people way up in front bunched up together and people way behind us bunched up together, but where we're at is completely open and we're driving around free. So when you feel overwhelmed and stuff, just ask for your fill-ins. Tell them you don't want no fill-ins in your day. It's quite interesting because we do live in a 3D, world right now. But I just want y'all to play around. That'll give you something to play around with and check out for yourself. And you'll realize that it actually does work. So, if you're going to the store and you're always fighting to find the parking spot, what's the first thing that's in your head when you're driving to the store? Oh, I'm gonna have to find a parking spot because there's not gonna be any open. Well, guess what? You've done created those fill-ins and put them there. So what you want to do is go before you start going to the store. Oh, I'm gonna be able to park right at the front of the store. There's gonna be parking for me. And guess what's gonna happen? If you start doing that, there will always be a parking spot up in front of the store for you. And people that are around you are going to be amazed and ask you, how do you do that? It's always like this for you. Well, you take those feelings out of your head, take them out and take those thoughts out of your head, because you're trying to control the situation. If you think about it without really realizing it, you're going, oh, I'm going to have to park way back here because there's going to be so many people at the grocery store. Well, guess what? You're asking the universe to put all them people in the store with you. And so guess what you're going to get? You're going to get that. So I want y'all to, play around with that and see how it works for you. And you're going to be very amazed. And the more you practice it, the better you get at it. And before you realize it, you won't even be saying it anymore in your head, that to remove the fill-ins because the fill-ins won't be there. Because you've asked so much for them not to be there that your day will just go as planned. And it's like waking up to a new day, and you allow Creator to put in your day what needs to be there instead of you going, oh, well, I got to run do this. I got to run do that. I got to do this. I got to do that. Well, yes, our life demands that. Okay, that we do that. But pay attention to how you're trying to control it and see if you remove the control, if it does not go a little bit better for you. You will see that it will. And that is actually also giving yourself respect and loving yourself because you're learning not to control and bind yourself up with worries and issues. And it's so easy to do because we're human. Okay, so I'm gonna give you another example. My youngest daughter has a swimming pool up. And she hurt her leg when we put the swimming pool up. So Not one time this summer have we been able to get in that swimming pool because her leg was hurt. But somebody had to go take care of the swimming pool and, keep it from turning green and all that. So I made that. She didn't. I made that my job. Okay, because I was her mother, I thought, oh, well, I can do this for her and this will help her. But also it created animosity in me because I was like, I have to go take care of that pool. We might as well just take it down because nobody's swimming in it. And then the thought of me having to take it down because she couldn't help me take it down. So it's left up for me to take down and put up, you know? And so, how many of y'all do that? How many of y'all have problems like that? My oldest daughter sat on my porch the other day, and she was so right because I was telling her, well, I've got to go take the swimming pool down and get it in the garage and everything. And she looked straight at me and she said, did she ask you to do that, Mama? And I went, no. And so my oldest daughter said, then why are you doing it? And I had to really stop and think, why am I doing that? Because she has not mentioned it to me. But let me tell you, it has stressed me out to the point where I've been stressing over it for several days. That this has to be done. I have to do it because there's nobody else because her legs broke. And I have created all of this thought patterns. And guess what it's done? It's made me suffer. I have suffered over that thought when my oldest daughter just said, well, she didn't ask you to do, why don't you let her take care of it? And she's right. I should. So I did. I haven't thought about it since that day. But let me tell you, it had been bothering me for like 2 months. 2 months. I was going, I got to take that swimming pool down. I'm going to have find somebody to help me take that. Well, now I'm not worrying about it. But this is part of the lesson that I wanted to bring. It's about control. Was I controlling that situation that caused that? Yes, I was. Very much so, because as a mother, I want my child to be happy. And as a mother, I thought, yes, let me go help my daughter do this. But in the process, it was causing me to have a lot of issues with inside myself, which I created myself. My daughter didn't do it. My daughter didn't do none of it because she never asked me to take the pool down. I created all of that to myself. But what it was doing was creating animosity and other things within me for my daughter. And my daughter wasn't even playing no part in it. This is my mind doing it. And I'm like, really? So I had to step back, and I'm very thankful for my oldest daughter because she's the one that helped me step back and look at this and go, wow, okay, yes, this is what I'm doing. I'm creating all of this. My other daughter's not creating it. So I just decided, I'm not going to go take the pool down unless she asks me. And then I'll start worrying about it. And you want to know how much relief that was off of me? Whew, a lot of relief. And I got up the next 2 or 3 days and felt so much better because I think I was even dreaming about it in my sleep because it was bothering me so bad. And I allowed that to take my creative energy away because it was creating animosity. It was creating, I want to go to bed, I'm not feeling good situation. That's the way to get out of doing things for me. So I really want y'all to think, what are the things that y'all do to, and have you caught yourself doing stuff like that? You know, and if you do, how are you gonna address it with inside yourself? Because guess what? If you address it and you release the control, you're gonna be a lot better and a lot happier, you know, and you'll be able to get up the next day and go, whew, it's a nice day today. Because you're not gonna have all that weight on your shoulders, you know. And another thing that I learned this past month is when you're letting go of stuff and you realize that you're carrying other people's baggage on your shoulders, which we all do this, especially if we have children or family issues. We'll pack all those issues up that belong to that person and literally visualize yourself taking that sack of problems back to that person and handing it to them and saying, here, these are yours. I don't want them no more. And let them go. And trust me, you'll feel that come off your back so quickly because it's not yours to worry about. You know, really the only thing we're to worry about is how we're walking for Creator. That's all. You know, are you doing things for Creator? Are you worshiping Creator? Are you realizing that you're connected to all things? And if you move, you're going to cause a ripple effect in that web that's going to cause a ripple effect in whatever it touches. So when you do that, you want to put out good vibes, not like me going, oh, I gotta go take down a pool. You know, you don't want that type of energy going down your web line, you know, because you're connected to everything. And that's where the light comes in of creation and Creator. And the more you can shine your light, you know, as pure as you possibly can, the more it's going to change other people to shine their light. It's not about changing other people, it's about changing yourself and understanding yourself enough to know that you're okay. And it's okay. It's okay to say no. It's okay because with my daughter, yes, does she have a hurt leg? Yes. But you know, that is her responsibility to take down her own swimming pool. But because I, you know, as her mama, I just wanted to help. That's why I went and helped put it up for her. But it is her responsibility really to find somebody to take it down. And she's not even worrying about that right now. And look, I tell you, I worried about that for almost a month of who was going to help me, you know, because I couldn't do it by myself. And so I guess what I'm trying to talk about is stop worrying about stuff, you know, because we all do it. We're human. And so when you get up like today, I got up today, I don't have any worries. Because you know what? The worries is most of the time when you're worried, it's about something that is coming in the future, but was created in the past. Now I want y'all to really think about that. Okay. Okay. You knew about it because it was created in the past, but you're bringing it into the future that hadn't even been started yet. Because the only thing that you have is the day that you're standing in, which is today. So why bring that into your day? Let it go. Let it go unless the other person says, hey, I need help taking that swim pool down. Can you help me? You know, the example is let it go until somebody asks you for help. Don't try to control it and go do it because you know it has to be done. You know, take yourself out of the equation and take that control out. And what you'll find is you'll find yourself being a happier you And, and when somebody calls you and says, how are you feeling today? You go, I feel great today. Well, yeah, you let all that worry go. You let all that frustration go. And that's just how it works. So when you get up in the morning, try to center yourself and try to state, this is my new day. I'm not going to bring the past in it. So before you go to bed at night, if something has happened, you need to correct it before you go to bed so that you don't bring it into your next day with you. You either correct it or say, I'm done with that and I'm not going to bring that up anymore because I'm not going to bring it into my future with me unless it has to be addressed. And guess what's going to start happening? All these old patterns and the way we've been taught to think and feel are going to break off, and we're going to create these new patterns of light and love and honesty within ourselves. Because guess what? You got to be honest with yourself first before you can be honest with anybody else. If you're not listening to what your inner child is saying to you, how do you expect to listen to somebody else that's in your family that's going through the same thing? You know, if you haven't addressed it within inside yourself first. You it really makes you think. Because see, I thanked to my oldest daughter for her great wisdom the other day when she told me, well, why are you worried about it? Has she asked you to do that? You know, because that was really great wisdom from my daughter, from my oldest daughter, because she's learned that lesson and I hadn't learned it. But I had now. And really it's a pattern. So I'm going to have to learn how to break the pattern because as a mama, you want to see your kids be happy. And you want to do good things for them, but you also have to be careful because you can create codependency and all this other stuff within that just because you're trying to be the type of person you want to be to your child. That you know you don't want to be controlling. And who would ever thought you know that I was using control over a swimming pool, you know, that nobody had used all year. So it can sneak up in your life without you realizing it. And that's why we need sacred time for ourselves to reflect on how our day has been. And you really truly need to write it down so you can go back and reflect on what caused you to feel like this, or why did you have this emotion. You know, I've had a lot of people say that that's just too much work to go back and think about everything that they thought about during the day. But trust me, if you do that, you're going to straighten up and you're going to see the things that you need to straighten up with inside yourself, which will put you on a better pathway of enlightenment, of understanding. Do you have to do it? No. You don't have to do it that way. There's many ways to do it. But what you do is find out what is good for you. There's many teachers out there that are going to talk and show you ways to do things. And that's good because not all of us think the same. Okay? So you have to find somebody's energy that you connect with and that you understand, because it is an understanding. And if that person can show you a better way to do things, that you agree upon with inside yourself because you're trying to change, then go for it, because that's what we're all here for. Each one of us has an answer that somebody else needs. Okay, we just gotta learn how to ask the right questions. You know, when you see a person, when you meet a person, a lot of people say, I don't know why I met that person. Well, guess what? When you have a conversation with a person, it's because Creator put that person in your life for a reason, for something, because they have either a piece of your puzzle that you need, or you're going to help them by giving them a piece of their puzzle. But you need to ask certain questions within yourself. What can this person do to help me become a better person? Or what is this person looking forward to help themselves become a better person? But you have to ask these questions to yourself when you meet other people. And before you know it, you'll have a long friendship with that person, because that's just how it happens. And it's quite interesting because we're all connected. And so when you realize that we're all connected, then you got to find out what connected you to begin with, what really connected you on that connection of life. And I always tell my child that you have to find out what part you play. What part do you play in this movie that's going on? You know, and if you can find that out, then that helps you move a little bit better and with confidence, because it does build up your self-esteem. And that's what we're all working on too in this self-love program within ourselves, is to respect ourselves, to honor ourselves, understand ourselves, you know, and also be proud of ourselves, not proud where it's a boasting proud, but proud that hey, we made it through the dark times and we actually have a light that is shining for other people, because there's a difference. You can be proud and be vain, okay, or you can be humble. It depends on how you use that, I guess. But it's quite interesting that if we take control, just the control, and you ask yourself, what do I control in my life? What do I really control in my life? You're going to find out you don't control anything. You don't even control your breath. Do you tell yourself to breathe? I don't know anybody that has told themselves to breathe unless they're meditating. Breathe in, breathe out. No, you don't control that. So really, in your notes, in your own lessons to yourself, write and say, what do I control? What is it that I really control? And you're going to find out that you really don't control much. We try to control it, but we really don't have much control over things. Because it's energy, and energy changes. Energy doesn't ever stop. It's always changing. So I had this saying a long, long time ago, that the only time energy stops is when you die. On the physical level, your body dies, but you really don't stop, because it changes. You change into another being of light and in transformation. So you're really still changing. So I hope I've gave y'all a lot to think about today, because that's what I've been doing since I come home from the gathering. Is I've been in a lot of self-reflection of what I could do better for myself. to help myself not be so overwhelmed, because I got a lot of stuff going on. I got a lot of things that I want to create and bring forth. And this is really the time to start thinking about all that, because we're going into the winter months. And a lot of people don't realize this, but in native, when winter time comes, it's like, we call it the time of the bear. And it's because the bear hibernates. But does the bear really go to sleep? Yeah, sometimes it goes to sleep, but really it goes into a cave and it hibernates. And but during the hibernation period, it is sitting down thinking and dreaming and writing down what it's going to bring forth when the weather gets better enough for it to get back out and start moving. Like I said, every season, there's a reason for every season. And the winter month is the time of the bear. And that's the time for you to reflect on the things that you've done, you know, and also reflect on what you're going to create when spring comes. And then when spring comes, you know, you start planting your creative ideals, or you go out and plant a garden, and guess what you're doing? You're bringing in rabbit medicine, which is moving you forward. You're hopping forward because you can't go backwards. And you're moving into that cycle to bring forth life. And guess what? In August and September, everything that you brought forth, like if you planted a garden or anything, by the time October gets here, you've harvested everything. And it restarts that pattern again. So I really want y'all to think about that, because that's kind of what we're doing in our thought processes too. So if we could get, you know, our physical self balanced, and that's how we, you know, we've learned about our chakra points and how to balance that energy, and that we're vibrational beings. So you got to keep your vibration raised up. Then you go into the mental part of yourself, okay, and you start balancing that. And one of the ways to start balancing it right now, we're going into the winter month. Get you a notebook, start preparing for what you're going to do in the spring. You know, start putting yourself on that energy wave so that you can become balanced in your mental state too. And guess what? When you come out of the cave in the springtime, you're going to be ready to go. You know, because you've been working on yourself. You've been working on yourself this whole year. Okay. And the mental part, we're just going to bring it into the cave of the bear and continue to work on that. But when springtime comes, guess what? Every single one of y'all that are in this class is going to take out and make moves. And you're going to see where your energy is moved. I mean, look at Pam. Pam planted her garden and it grew before for harvest time, and they harvested and whoop, they're gone. and she's living a new life, you know. So it can be done. That's what you call balance, but you got to learn how to. You really got to understand what you got to balance. You maybe not have to learn it, but you got to learn. You know, what do you have to balance? Well, you got to balance yourself. You know, and that's your physical and mental self, and then your emotional self. And remember, we've been working on that too. Your emotional self is a language that is coming through you of energy. Okay, so when you realize that your emotional self is just a language, it's your mental self that actually describes and connects your emotional self to go, oh, I'm hurting. Oh, I'm suffering. Oh, I got to take down a pool. You know, so you got to realize what that energy is. Okay. And let it go. Let it go. Unless you want to create more obstacles for you, like I was doing, you know? And how funny is it that I want y'all to see the connection in this because really Creator's great. You know, we're talking about a swimming pool, okay, in this lesson. But what does the swimming pool represent too? It represents the water element. Okay, so we're talking about the physical plane of reality, okay, with inside ourselves. We're talking about our emotional self. We're talking about our mental self. And we're also talking about the elements of the earth as we're doing these lessons. And the more you start connecting those pieces and seeing how it connects, you're going to see a big web form. And it's going to look like a spider web if you drew it out and you go, well, we talked about this today, and it represented the element of water. Okay. But I'm not gonna, I'm gonna let y'all look at it for yourselves and tell me what elements that you have seen that we've talked about today, if you can connect it. Because it's gonna really get you to think, because it connects to everything. It connects to the sun, it connects to the moon, it connects to everything. And when you can start seeing the pattern on how it all connects, it's gonna start clicking together. And you're gonna go, wow. So, okay, we talked about the water, the swim pool, right? So then my daughter says, well, why are you worried about that? You know, did she ask you to help? What element do you think that wisdom came from? Okay, because I could tell you, it come from the earth element of grounding. Being grounded enough to know, well, you shouldn't be doing that. Did she ask you to do that? So I just, you know, if y'all can become aware to see, you'll see everything will connect everything. And we even talked about the ether plane of how it all connects in this segment. Yeah. So have I got y'all's minds thinking? The biggest thing is control, you know. Look back and see what are you controlling, because if you can take control out of it, you're going to see the picture a lot better. You know, it doesn't mean that you let somebody else control you either. That's a no-no. The only body that should be sending you information is Creator. You know, so that you can be your authentic person. And when you learn this and become a partnership with somebody else that has learned this, it can become a very, very loving, unconditional partnership, which I know for a fact that we have one going on in this class. And I can't wait to see how it blossoms into this, because they're both learning at the same time. And you can't ask for nothing better than that when you're in a relationship, that both partners, you know, are learning the same thing and learning about themselves. So it's no telling where this could go to, you know, on a spiritual level. And it's going to bloom into a beautiful rose, because each one of us is a rose that's blooming. And sometimes we get up in the morning and we're like shut completely down, like in a rose petal, you know, with the rose hasn't bloomed at all. That's how I was with my daughter in the swimming pool. I'd shut down. No, I don't want to do this. But then if you open it completely up, guess what? That's your crown chakra. and your energy on your physical plane completely open as a flower blooming, which becomes the lotus flower on the elements of the universe, and it can float down the water of life as a beautiful thing of creation. And that's how I'm going to leave our story today. I love each and every one of you, and I hope you learn. I hope you go and learn stuff for yourself. And this winter, do a notebook. Do a notebook and write down your thoughts and ask yourself, what am I controlling? What do I have control over? First, what do I have control over? Because when you can learn what you have control over, that's going to give you a good starting point, to walk in your authentic self. And just remember, you don't even have control over your breath. So that's quite interesting when you start writing it all down. What do I have control over? No. But what I have found for myself is the only thing that I can control is the way that I think. And that's a choice. That's really not control, because you choose to react. So control might not be a good word to use anymore, because that is a conditioned word, that was given to us. So anyway, that's my lesson for today. Anybody have any comments?
Susan, I noticed you had your hand up.
So when you had said how to look for the connection of an element, like you were talking about your pool
Mhm.
thing, and what's that element teach you? And so the element is water,
Right.
which is cleansing, purifying, washing. So I'm just trying to put it together.
Okay. Well, I will help you. When I said that, I didn't mean for you to go into what the water element is about. I just wanted you to try to see the connection that even in regular life, you connect to all the elements of the universe: earth, air, wind, fire. And we don't realize that we're connecting to it unless you see the pattern that is there, because there's a pattern always there. We just don't see it. And so, I use that as an example because I was talking about a pool, which represents the water element. But then my daughter come back and showed me the earth element of grounding, being grounded enough to understand, why are you putting yourself in this? She didn't ask you to do that, So you will see a pattern where everything connects if you just start looking for it. But you don't. For you are like me, you like to dissect everything, so you're trying to put all it into a pattern where you can understand it better, but you don't have to work that hard because the pattern's already there. You just have to see it. And it only takes one connection to see how it connects.
And when I think about water, I just, it's really, you can't try to hold on to water. You can't hold it in your hand. You can't hold it anyway. I mean, you have to have a container, so it means you gotta let it go.
Yes, and see, because we are made up of 98% of water, that's why it's so important to drink water. Because that flushes your system out so that your system can pick up the electrical energy of the emotional self, which is the energy and the language coming through you. And so if you clog it up with tea and coffee, not that I'm saying that any of this is bad to drink, it's not, but make sure you drink a lot of water too. It can clog up your system, which brings illness and all of that other stuff, because it's all connected.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to make sure I was on the right track. All right.
Did that help? Did that help?
Yes, it did.
Okay, awesome.
I'd like to share a little bit.
Okay.
I think the only thing I'm learning this through relationship, through work, who I have to deal with on a regular basis. Like yesterday, we had a 2-hour meeting with 25 people, and it was a freaking gong show. And it's teaching me patience. It's teaching me the only thing that I can control is my reactions to any situation presented before. And I'll be tested. I got this. So I'll be slapped really hard with a lesson. Say, how do you got this? How are you going to react? And I think another thing that I control is which wolf do I feed? Like, which do I get those stinking thinking thoughts? Do I run with it? Or do I say, get away from me? And, go to prayer and creator instead. So yeah, learning a lot, and thank you, Shahoen, for these lessons. You've really helped me, and I'm sure the group here in general. So thank you.
You're welcome, but thank yourself too, because guess what? I can stand up here and talk 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay, but if you're not doing the work for yourself, you wouldn't get it. Okay, you just wouldn't. So give yourself credit too, because everybody that is in this class, I have seen a change since we started the Zoom. And, I've been helping people for a long time, over 30 years. Okay. And so I can pick up those pieces of the puzzle, like we were talking with Susan, that everything connects. I can tell by just when a person says something to me, if they really working on themselves. So give that back to yourself too, that yes, you're growing in it, and it's wonderful. And you're growing into your authentic self. And that's a magnificent thing. Nobody can give that to you except for yourself and creator. It doesn't matter how bad you want it. Now, I have a friend, he drives me crazy sometimes because he's going everywhere to get enlightenment. Okay, and I mean everywhere. And he can afford it. Leo's over here laughing because he knows who I'm talking about. But and he can afford this, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you can't find it on the outside. It's not out there. You got to go inside your heart. You got to look at yourself. You've got to understand, hey, this is me. What do I like about myself? What do I not like about myself? What can I change? And when you start doing that, then it's all gonna fall together. It's a beautiful journey that we're on. I can say it's a very rough journey that we're on too, because guess what? You do fall down and go boom boom, and you have to pick yourself back up sometimes. But guess what? We choose to go through those hard times. Yeah, to learn. And it's quite interesting. And if you go to any religion, you're going to find a scripture that will talk about what I'm just saying. It's in all the religions. But the biggest one that I liked the best was Buddha, when he said, just be still and quiet, be quiet. And guess what? Can you really be quiet? Think about that one. Can you really be quiet? Or was he trying to tell you to take the control out of everything and sit quietly? Because if you sit quietly and release control, guess what? You're going to see things. So I think life is amazing. And now when I was in my 20s, I had a hard life. I would tell people I don't ever want to live a life like this ever again. But today I tell everybody I wouldn't change my life for nothing. Anything that I have experienced, I would not change, because I grew so much from going through it and learning from it. And it made me who I am today. And some people can't handle that, because I'm a very honest person, and you'd be very surprised how many people have told me, because I'm so honest, that that's what's hurt me and caused me problems, because I am honest. But for me, I'm not going to lie to you. You know, I'm not deliberately going to deceive you and send you down, because I've been through that. And guess what? It's not a good place to be when you're trying to find and connect to people, you know, for support and just to feel like you have someone that you could talk to. Because I grew up a very lonely child. But guess what? I'm not lonely anymore. And my greatest adventure was for myself was when I learned that I was never alone to begin with. And that was a true healing and blessing for me, is when I learned that I was never really truly alone at all. That they had always been with me, Creator had always been with me, and will be until I cross over and get to see his face. Okay, come on, Barbie.
When in saying that, you made me think I was many years ago, 7 years ago, maybe, that I was walking to my meditation spot, and I was feeling down. And I said, I feel so alone. I get the emotions. And then my guides, they yelled, they said, you are not alone. And I found like 15 feathers that day.
Mm.
It makes me emotional even thinking, makes me emotional going back there, because they touched me and they showed me, like, you are not alone.
Yeah, and see, as a child, I got beat up really bad and everything, but I would hide in my closet. Okay. And I did that up until I was 14 years old. And, you know, I got sold when I was 15 into marriage. So my safety was the closet. But when I would go into the closet as a young child, I didn't even have dolls to play with. But I had a family inside that closet. And I didn't know that at that time, that when I went into the closet, I would actually be going into visions, and they were taking me, you know, to other places where there was people with me all the time, a big family, and they were loving me, and I was eating and all this. But as a child, I did not realize, you know, what that was until I got older. And then when they said, we have been with you all this time, you know, and then they started showing me going into the closet and what they do while I was in my closet. And so it's quite interesting, and it's such a humbling experience to just learn about yourself, and that it's okay you know, to experience sadness, you know, anger. It's okay to be like that, but it's not okay to stay in it. Because when you can overcome all of that, and look, Rodney, this will help you a lot too, because I picked up when you said you still feel that in you. You've got to let that go. So put it in a sack. Okay, put it in a sack and hand it to your spirit guides and say, I let this sadness go. Because you're still holding on to the frequency. You might not be holding on to the garbage that was in there. Okay. But you're still holding on to the frequency pattern because it's coming in on an emotional level to you.
You know, I'm not alone anymore, and that other person's in this room with us.
Yeah. And he's going, give me the bag, give it to me. You know, so think about that, you know, because when that emotion can come in on a vibrational level, and you're able to say, hey, I was very sad at that time, but you don't feel it, that's when you have released the control and the baggage of it. But you still know that sadness was there. And you can authentically say to yourself, yes, I was really sad at that time, but that's not how I am today. And that's how letting go, let it go. Give it to your guides, give it to Creator. And the more you let go, you become and I'm going to say this, for me, it's like becoming a beautiful feather. And the more you let go, you can feel the little hairs of the feather and the wind moving. And it's just like uplifting with no weight. It's so hard to describe, but I see it as a feather being, you know, waved in the air when you release all this stuff. And maybe that might be you're getting your angel wings, you know, when they're fluffing it out. Who knows? Pam, do you have anything to say? Oh, I love those angel wings. Looky there. That's
Good morning.
Good morning, Pam.
I just had to say, you know, I look back at where I was, even a year ago or 4 years ago, I was in such a negative place, you know, like I remember sitting in my tub, you know, taking a hot bath to try to relax. And I just was so sorrowful and felt so hopeless and helpless. Like I didn't realize I had a choice about what I thought, you know. I mean, that was the biggest revelation of all, is I can control what I think. I can choose my thoughts. I can choose those feelings. I can choose to feed those feelings, you know, because when I got down in that place, I felt like there was no way out. And I mean, I ended up in the psych ward, you know, because I didn't care, you know. I just felt like I didn't want to be anywhere. I wanted to roll up in a ball and hide, you know. And I did the same thing when I was younger. I would sit in my closet in the dark, you know, in the middle of the daytime, because I just didn't want to be here, you know. I didn't want to be here. And I mean, it is such a blessing to be where I am today compared to where I was then. I mean, yesterday I went through a really, really horrible time, you know, where my son-in-law was with of course he was feeding from my daughter, you know, saying all this stuff about me, that I was a horrible person, that I abandoned my daughter and everything else. And like you said, you know, I mean, when something happens and you don't understand why, there's a reason for it. You know, that car accident that I was in 2011 began my release from my daughter control. I mean, she was so controlling. She wanted me to do everything for her. You know, I created the codependency. Probably, I probably did. You know, but I didn't know I was doing that. You know, at the time, I was trying to keep her from destroying herself. I mean, she had this horrible self-destructive thing going on. You know, but I mean, to this day, she is angry at me because I cannot and did not do for her anymore. And instead of coming and helping me when I was in a home for 6 months and on a wheelchair for 3 years, no, she was angry at me for deserting her. You know, and I just and it all came back yesterday. You know, because my grandson sent me a friend request and I accepted it. You know, this is the grandson I haven't seen for a long time, you know.
Well,
And I
that's
used to have,
wonderful.
yeah, and I had a good relationship when he was little because I was constantly over at my daughter's babysitting and doing for her, you know. I didn't know how to do for me back then, you know. And now today, you know, yesterday, when I went through all that and this morning, I'm thinking, you know, it started going through my head that I am worth it. You know, I am worth something. I can be a loving person. I am a loving person. And I deserve that respect. We deserve the respect from her that she's never given me, you know. And this past year was all letting go. You know, I had to let go of those kids. I mean, I had been
Good.
helping them and helping them and helping them, but I got a message, you know, from my guides, like Rodney says, you know, that spirit that spoke in my ear, you know, really loud, let go, you know, let go. Don't hold on anymore, you know? And it was the time was right and everything. And I had to start putting up my boundaries, you know, and say, listen, this is not happening for me anymore. And this has got to change, you know? And that's what happened yesterday, you know, when my son-in-law was talking to me like that, I said, listen, I'm not doing this anymore. You know, they tell me, oh, well, you never told us. And, you know, and it's always on their conditions and the way they wanted it to be. You know, I had to call them. I had to come to their house. They never come to my house, you know, and,
Right.
but I don't want to be in that kind of relationship where it's always on their terms and not on mine, you know, what's always good for them and what's never good for me, you know. And I find that as I love myself and begin to say, what's good for Pam, taking care of Pam, I am really beginning to be able to love more and to give more of myself because I've got more to give, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm happier and but that big revelation that I had that I can choose what I think, that I actually had control over my thoughts, that was like, wow, you know. And when you start feeding a thought and that's when you feed it and then the emotions come in, you know, and they take control of you and you feel like you cannot get out from underneath them, you know. And it's like, wow. So the thought comes in the first place. If you're going to bite it in the butt, then you're going to be a lot better off.
That's correct. Address it immediately and it will not cause any more. Because that's what I tell everybody. That's like a kudzu vine. You know what a kudzu is? Okay.
Mm-mm.
So the minute that you have your first thought, if it's not addressed, it's going to grow another vine of
Yeah.
something, animosity, anger, and then that's going to grow another vine. And before you know it, you have a vine, you have a whole vine of stuff that you've got to cut to get down to the root to get it out, you know.
Yeah. But I'm really grateful for this class and for the journey that I've been on. You know, I really have been on this journey for a couple of years now, but I mean, this helped the class has helped push me forward, you know.
Well,
It,
if you could see how much you probably took 15 to 20 years of stress off of you.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you can see it in your face that you're not carrying that stress anymore. So,
Mhm.
so even your health is going to become better. And I'm sure your husband's health has improved drastically since the kids ain't there no more.
Yes, he is doing better. He's much happier. He's not angry like he was. You know, and I have a swimming pool sitting out in my yard right now that needs cleaned out, but
I was
I'm not
gonna
gonna
say,
do it.
well, you don't have to do it. You know?
It's somebody else's responsibility that needs to do it. It's not mine. And I really don't need to grab a hold of that and hang on to it and do it. When that's a big change
That's
in
right.
me.
So don't let it bother you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just make sure, uh, well, it's getting winter time now, so you're not gonna have to worry about mosquitoes and stuff, but, if there's a way to drain it, I would drain it out so that you don't have mosquitoes overpopulating them around you. But other
Well,
than,
it's not really a swimming pool. It's a mess that was made of my RV by my son and his wife. And it is a mess. It needs cleaned up in there, you know, but they haven't been able to get to it. And they've been very busy trying to reestablish themselves. And I could go out there and clean that thing out, but I know I'm not supposed to.
no, they're supposed to do
Yeah.
that. That's awesome, though. I love you.
I love you too. I love all you guys.
Sherry, we have not heard from you. How are you doing?
Hi, I had an adorable little moment with Winnie and the cat are cuddling, which doesn't happen because the cat's calm and the puppy is full of energy. So I got a moment. If you saw my screen, my picture go away because I was taking a picture of them. Yeah. Here's Winnie.
Oh,
She's grown. Look.
and she's getting big. Yeah, she's getting big.
Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah, I'm I fell I woke up in the middle of the night for her, so if you see me yawning a little bit, that's why. I had a lot of there's been a breakthrough that happened with a personal situation, and I was taking on my daughter's out of town, we can say, and I was taking on responsibility of her pets too, which are like our pets, but one in particular, and he's looking at me. And I just came home one day and they weren't listening, causing a bunch of chaos, getting to things they weren't supposed to, disturbing neighbors and stuff. And I just had a moment where I yelled out, I'm like, get home already. And I don't know, I heard someone must have heard me, creator, spirit guides, ancestors, something. We're like, we need to get her over here. She's gonna lose her mind. And I get a message from her, I don't know, the next day that she'll be home this week.
Oh, well,
And
see,
she's doing good. And so she's in a better frame of mind and headspace and everything.
that's wonderful.
I was like, okay, I've been doing all I can. I've been giving all I have. Unlike a pool, I have to take care of them. They're living creatures. But and she did ask me to take care of them. And so it got to the point. No. No. And but yeah, so she's coming back, so that's good because I need help.
You're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Just don't let it overwhelm you.
Don't ever let it.
I said, don't let it overwhelm you.
Yeah, there was moments, and then the next day I woke up in a better way, and especially after hearing that, I'm like, oh, okay, so it's
Yeah.
nice.
Well,
And
it's
then,
hard when you have, it's hard when you have a lot of pets and you're not used to having that many. And then, because each one of them has their own personality and their
Oh,
own
yeah.
needs. And if you're not used to being, given that much of yourself at one time, it can be overwhelming. So just be careful so that it doesn't burn you out. You know what I'm saying? Because um, you need to rest. You're not getting enough rest.
yeah, that's been true. Yeah, it's that one in particular when I'm not home is when he's causing the problems. Yeah. Um, and then I wrote some other things down that were like little things in my mind that have helped me. Like the whole movie situation I've seen, like it's that feeling of life is happening to you, and it's the difference of life happening to you or for you. I've had that where I've started, a friend of mine, she's very light in love, and she's like, oh, I just imagine my parking spots there. So I started saying manifest parking whenever I'd show up, especially to her place because I'd remember. And that's something that helped, but I'm sure you could do that with any situation.
Yeah.
One job I had problem leaving this year, and it relieved a lot of stress once I did, because I loved teaching, but the administration was terrible, and it pushed me in the right direction. So I was thankful that it became that situation, because I needed to move on, and it probably would have stayed there forever because I loved what I was doing. But I needed to do other things Creator had for me. So I learned this phrase recently, maybe earlier this year: not my monkeys, not my circus.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And oh my goodness, it gave me such, okay, they're not my monkeys, that's not my circus. And it gave me so much freedom because I felt a little guilty leaving too.
Mhm.
Something that I've noticed is when I would there's times I get out of bed and I still don't feel good. How you're talking about that, but for a lot of people that ever go through that, I know once I get to the shower, I'll feel better. So that's why, like, I always have to shower, because I know once that water element touch me, that I feel better. If I have anything, it like that connection with that water element really helps me in the morning. So that's something that helps me get through the morning. So everyone has to have that one thing, like going to work. Sometimes people don't want to go to work, but it's like, okay. That's another one. I heard there's like, you can look at the glasses half full or the glasses half empty. That makes you an optimist or a pessimist. The
Yeah,
most beautiful thing I heard about that is that the glass is refillable.
yeah, you can always refill it. Yeah,
And so, and that's what we get, that gift of a new day. Being able to, go to sleep at night, refill, and start over in the morning.
yeah.
And I
And
just want to say thank you for the classes and everyone in the group, and sharing stories and being vulnerable, because it's how we connect and how we learn.
yeah. And thank you. Thank you for being part of the class. Thank you, everybody, for being part of the class here. I guess that's at the end of our class until next week. And Rodney, would you like to do the closing prayer and we'll get out of here? And I hope each and every one of y'all have a great week, and think about, you know, what are you trying to control? And try to remove control out of your vocabulary and out of your thinking process, and see what it does for you. And we'll talk more about that probably Tuesday. If y'all remind me, because Spirit might have me on something else too. So if you still want to talk about that, y'all can remind me. But I love each and every one of you. Rodney, take us out with the prayer.
You're muted.
Thank you. I would have gone the whole time.
I had my eyes shut and I was waiting, and I was like,
We're with you, Rodney.
yes, we love you, Rodney.
All right, take two. Father Sky, Mother Earth, all our ancestors, all our relatives, we love and thank you so very, very much for allowing us to be part of this most sacred circle. We thank you for touching each of us individually, for helping us become our highest versions of self. We thank you for Shahawin and the wisdom that she teaches us, for the messages that she conveys to us, and the spirit that speaks through her. We are grateful. We ask most high, most divine, that you help each of us to let those things go that we have no control over. Help us to hand the control over to you. Help us to be accepting of what is and not wanting things to be certain ways. That is our ego, and we hand that over to you, and we ask that you fill us with love and grace and acceptance. We ask most high, most divine, that you watch over each and every one of us throughout this week. We ask you protect us, guide us, comfort us, and direct us in ways that are pleasing in your sight. Please watch over us during this week. Help us to do things that put a smile on your face and put a flutter in our heart as we feel that connection that we establish and those emotions stir and that beautiful, beautiful spirit of love flows through us. We love you. We thank you for this meeting. We now close this meeting and we ask you watch over us during this week. We thank you. Aho.
Love everybody. See you next week.